I believe that Mashel is here with us. Can we activate her camera, Traven, so that we can be talking with Mashel? Mashel West is our guest, and she is an employee of CHG Healthcare. We're going to talk to her about what they do for business. There she is. Mashel, welcome. Can you hear me?
I can't.
Okay. I can hear you now. I heard you. Can you hear me? She's going to take some time and get her so that she can hear. But excited to talk with her about what happened, how she made a difference in her life, and how that ended up making a difference for her child's life and many, many other people. But again, I'm going to keep saying it because I'm so in love with this company now. Everything that I've seen from them in the last couple of days, I'm like, wow, what an amazing company to work for and to know. CHG Healthcare. Mashel, are you able to hear me yet? She cannot hear me, but I could hear her when she was talking. Traven, anything you can do to message her to let her know what she might do so that she can hear us. But so Mashel is an amazing mom. I'm just going to start talking about her. And we are right now posting in the links of all of our social media. There's a wonderful video of her and her family that sort of outlines the whole story. And if you want to watch that whole video, you'll see it's in the link if you're watching this on YouTube, the description of the show. There she is. Can we hear you?
Yes, I'm so sorry.
No,
I'm
it's
not
okay.
super technically savvy. I thought I had it all figured out. How are you?
Please. I'm fabulous, and I'm thrilled that you're here because I said I think that you're a true life hero. I'm excited to meet you and talk to you, and I am so in love with CHG Healthcare right now.
Right? I know. It was an amazing experience, and honestly, it was a little scary to confront them initially, but they were amazing to work through that with me.
And, well, I want to back up because I didn't tell our audience. Yeah. We talked about it on Friday, but I want you to tell today's audience. So you're an amazing mom, and it's okay to say that one of your children got a diagnosis.
Right. Yep. So my youngest son, Lucas, he is 7. He's 7 years old, and I have 2 older children. They're 12 and 10. And both typically developing. So Lucas came along and, probably 18 months, he was definitely a little quieter than my older 2 children. But 18 months, I started really feeling like there was some gaps with his speech, lack of eye contact, some of the typical things that tip you off. Yeah. I actually had his hearing tested because he wasn't, responding to me. And actually took him to his pediatrician, and she initially said, they've got kind of that 12 question list. She goes, he's pretty social and pretty affectionate with you. I think maybe he's got a speech delay, but I don't think he's autistic. Wow. And you know how that goes, right? People don't understand this type of diagnosis a lot of the times. And so it was challenging at first to get people on board with that. And to be honest, in my family, I'm known to be quite the paranoid mom. So they thought I was overreacting.
Sister, we are sister friends.
That's right.
Yes. And you had reason to be too. You were right.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
So people need to leave you alone, and no one needs to tell you that you're being paranoid anymore. I've spoken on this.
Thank you. I am welcome. No longer the girl who cried wolf, right? Okay.
That's right. That's right.
Go. Yep.
But you eventually did get the diagnosis. At what point did you realize that you were going to need ABA therapy?
So essentially what happened, he was about 2.5, almost 3 when we got him formally diagnosed. Wow. And there's a great place here in Salt Lake called the Children's Center. And they had a therapist that we met with that essentially introduced us to ABA therapy, but honestly did a ton of work with my husband and I to train us on who this little guy was.
Great.
Which was the most important thing. Probably the biggest thing that this woman said to me that was life-changing for me. She said, Lucas is amazing, but he is a Mac in a PC world, and you just need to understand his operating system. And I was like, oh, okay, I get that. That makes sense to me. And that was a game changer. She spent a lot of time training us on how to, essentially go down the little rabbit holes of his little world and pull him out and have him join us. And she also helped introduce us to ABA therapy. And so he's had ABA therapy for, gosh, four years now.
Amazing.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, when you realized that you needed ABA therapy, you discovered that it wasn't covered under your plan at work. Let's talk a little bit about, what do you do at CHG Healthcare?
Yeah. So
this company that I'm in love with now.
Yeah, as you should be. They're pretty fantastic. I have worked there for 17 years.
Wow.
So my joke is I was 12 when I started, but that's not true.
I was going to say, okay. And what do you do for them? First of all, what does CHG Healthcare do? What kind of a company are they?
Yep. So we facilitate staffing and permanent placement for physicians, for ancillary advanced practice providers, nurses all over the country. So we have a few different brands under the CHG umbrella, but yes, we essentially facilitate physician staffing, whether it's temporary or permanent.
So a very important service, and certainly an essential service, especially right now.
Yes.
Making sure that there are healthcare people in the right jobs, in the right places where they're needed, even if it's temporary. Love, love, love this. So you'd been working for them forever, but lo and behold, like a lot of people, the insurance plan did not cover ABA.
Right.
So what did you do?
Yeah, so I had connected with a couple of other moms at CHG who had children on the spectrum, and they had been looking into ABA therapy as well. And we all about the same time came to that really sad realization that our insurance plan didn't cover it. So Utah, we're based in Utah, and Utah legislation actually requires that state regulated insurances cover ABA, but CHG, they are self-funded, they aren't state regulated, so they just went with federal guidelines. So it wasn't like they'd opted to not cover it. I just don't know that they realized that they weren't covering it.
And how would you know that, right? And federal guidelines don't make them have to do it. They're
Correct.
Not mandated to do it. We've been fighting for federal guidelines to do that, but that is not the law of the land. So they were being completely legal. It wasn't that they were doing something horrible. It was just they had the choice, and based on the knowledge they had, they weren't doing it. And you took matters into your own hands.
Yes. So essentially, the day I found out that our benefits at my company wouldn't cover it, I mean, I love this company. Our core values is putting people first, doing the right thing, ethics and integrity. And they genuinely live that. So I was heartbroken to think, am I going to have to leave this employer to go and find insurance coverage for this therapy? Because I'm not picking. Obviously you'd do anything for your child. So I actually had a lunch appointment with one of my work colleagues. We're driving out of the parking lot at the building, and she's like, what is up? Because I was crying and upset. I had literally just found out about it. And I was like, what am I going to do? I can't not get this therapy for my son. And it's so expensive if we don't have insurance. So it was honestly fate. Like I truly believe it. So her and I are pulling out of the parking lot, and the two perfect people for me to see walked out of the door of our building right then. So our CEO, Scott Beck, and our benefits vice president, Kevin Rickliffs, the chances of me seeing them is rare. Like, it's a big enough company. And the fact I was like, I have to stop. So my friend's like, what are you doing? You're going to stop right now? And I was like, yes, I'm stopping right now. And she's like, don't do it. And I'm like, I'm totally doing it. But I was still crying.
Yeah.
And at this point, while I parked, they are in their car. And I run over, and I mean, the car's on, and I knock on the window. And I'm crying. And luckily, I've worked there a long time, so they at least knew, but they were like, are you okay? They rolled the window down, and I said, hey, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry to accost you right here, but this is super important. I just found out our insurance doesn't cover this therapy benefit for my son. There's so many other families that are affected by this. I don't even know if you guys know that, but I mean, it's life-changing. I'm going to have to consider figuring out another place to work, and I don't want to do that. And Scott Beck was very kind and said, you know what, I'm so sorry. I didn't even know that was something we didn't cover. And I want to talk to you about it. And I'll schedule a meeting. And he, within, a couple of days, met with me. And I explained to him, again, it's just people not knowing, explained to him the importance of that. And then he asked if he could meet with me and other parents. So I had started an employee network group at CHG. Another great thing about our company is they offer us funding and give us a platform to start employee network groups at our company. So I had started one called I Love Someone with Autism. About the same time this was all coming up as well. So I had a network of people I knew had loved ones on the spectrum. And we met with our CEO and with our benefits department, talked about why this was so critical. The sooner we can get access to that therapy, the better. And we had a couple of meetings. And then Scott Beck, our CEO, asked to meet with me again. And he said, well, we think we figured out where we could, increase occupational therapy and speech therapy benefits. Maybe not ABA quite yet. That's quite a change financially. What do you think? And I said, God love you. That's basically like saying to a parent of a diabetic child, great news. We'll cover the dietitian, but not the insulin. I mean, that's essentially what you're saying. And I understand you don't necessarily know that, but that's what you're saying. And he, oh, well, okay. Well, that's not going to be good enough. We'll go back to the drawing board. And he came back and they talked it through and they decided to cover it. And just super grateful again for a company that I felt safe enough to do that. Yeah. And then to even challenge what they offered, and for them to not say, thanks for working here, but go ahead and go. Like, they were wonderful, and I can't tell you what that's done for these families. It's been amazing. So.
Well, and let's, so how long has your son been getting ABA? Let's talk about what the difference has been.
Oh, it has been just astounding. And, I can get emotional about it pretty easily. He wasn't talking at all. And, there were times I wondered if he ever would. And with all of this therapy and just his hard work, like, it's hard,
yes,
it's hard. It's exhausting and hard work. And with all of that hard work, he speaks so much better. He's still, we call it Lucanese. It's we can understand everything that he's saying. He's getting more and more clear. The interactions that we have, those moments when you're like, you genuinely, it's kind of lovely and simplistic. They do everything just out of the joy of it. It's not for anybody's benefit. And I love that. But it's also been amazing to see him want interaction. Like, hey, mom, look at me. Yeah. And then he does a trick and then he looks at me and says, did you see that? Like, I was like, that's game changing.
Yeah.
And his ability to love and be affectionate and interact, and he's reading, and it's just been incredible.
Well, it's amazing. And there's a lot of things that are amazing about this. First of all, you're amazing. That took a lot of guts. It took a lot of courage. And I can tell you that I know families that have gone to companies that they've worked for many years and said, I think, you need to know about this, and not been greeted the way you were. So it took courage for you to do it. I applaud you so much, but I also want to applaud CHG Healthcare because it took courage. It always takes courage to listen. Yeah. And not only did they listen once, they continued to listen. And I really applaud that when they came back to you and said, hey, we've got this idea that you said, no, that's not going to do it. Because that's the moment when you changed everything.
Yeah.
That's the moment when you changed the circumstances for your child, but you changed the culture of that company, and you changed so many, like, how many employees do you think CHG has now that have kiddos on the spectrum that now have access to this? It's a lot, right?
Yeah, we have over 2,500 employees, and we have, our headquarters is in Salt Lake City, Utah, but we have companies in Florida, North Carolina, and Michigan. So it's been amazing because I have had folks within all of these companies, reach out to me and say, hey, I saw your story. Thank you for helping us get this benefit. But maybe we can just talk.
Yeah.
Maybe we can connect. We have this employee network group that they allow us to facilitate too. And, I was in the break room just probably 4 or 5 months ago, and this tall, very serious looking gentleman with a goatee, looks pretty scruffy. He comes up and he said, hey, I heard you could maybe help me. My daughter was just diagnosed. And he just starts crying.
Oh.
And, what? You don't know. You don't know what the resources are. You don't know how much they can improve. You don't know what the possibilities are. And to just hear that and have that peace of mind, I've been grateful to help other people find that, because thank goodness somebody helped me find these paths and help me learn how to help this baby. Because genuinely it's the most important work we'll ever do. And there's something very precious and divine about having the opportunity to do this for him, and what it's meant for my family, my children. It's made us better people. So
I have to say, if anybody is hearing the drumming sound, it is the rain that is pelting us now. We had a light rain before, and now it is raining so hard that I can hear it. But that is the drumming sound. It is not my child drumming. But we're having some big rain here in LA. But I just want to say, again, that in looking at a couple of things for CHG Healthcare, I'm just really impressed. And, I want to encourage them to get into the field of finding BCBAs and placing them at autism carriers, because we need BCBAs all over the place, right? Those are the board certified behavior analysts that design the program for ABA. So if you guys can now, as CHG can start recruiting and hiring and placing those people, let me know, because there's a need for that.
Yes, and I am aware of that as well. And I know we have some therapies. I don't think it would be that crazy for us to add that. So do you know what? Maybe you should fly on out to Salt Lake, and we can meet with them in the lobby.
There we go. I love the state of Utah. I've lived in the state of Utah. I taught briefly at BYU for a little while. So there you go. Back in the days when I was teaching college. And I have lots and lots and lots of friends in Utah. I love the state of Utah. It's a beautiful, beautiful state. But, so thrilled and over the moon that you had this experience. And, we say a lot here, the power of one is very important. And you were the power of one in this. But we also acknowledge it takes a village, that you can be the power of one and shouting. And if nobody picks up the mantle and says, I hear you, and your employer picked up the mantle and said, I hear you, and they're living up to ideals that we want to see in the companies that we want to patronize, prioritizing, when you're a healthcare company, prioritizing the healthcare that you're giving to your employees, like, kudos to you for massively getting it, CHG. I'm in love. I can't say that enough. So, but Mashel, so honored to be in your presence. You truly are a hero. I love the difference that you're making every day at your company and with the employees at your company and their families. Thank you for being a part of this tribe and taking the time to be with us today.
Absolutely. And just thank you to you and all of the great work that you're doing. I've had opportunities throughout this journey to look at your videos and understand, you've had some great physicians that just help explain all of this. And, some of the therapies or the types of disorders that we're dealing with, what an amazing advocate you are, and just keep up the fight, girl.
You too.
Together.
Sisters. My
That's
sister
right.
friend now. All right. Well, it's been such a pleasure. Please give our love to how can we reach out to CHG? If somebody's watching and they need nurses and physicians and eventually BCBAs, where should they go to find out more information about CHG?
So if they go to chghealthcare.com.
Okay.
Yep.
Mashel, thank you so much. We're in awe. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much for your time, and I appreciate all the awareness we can get. So you take care, and all my love to you.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for watching Autism Live. To subscribe, click here. And if you'd like to check out some more of our videos, click here.